For our supplies, we will need a super bulky 6-weight yarn. I am using LionBrand Hometown Yarn. It is a super bulky 6-weight yarn, and this is the color Houston Cream. Our crochet hook, we will be using a N 10mm crochet hook, scissors, sewing thread. I chose a sewing thread that matches the color of the yarn. We will need a sharp-ended tapestry needle, a measuring tape, faux fur. And I picked up this faux fur from a local craft store. Also, I would like to add, you will need at least, I would go with 42 inches of faux fur in length. This cowl should be about 40 inches long, but just to be on the safe side, I would get at least 42 inches of faux fur for this crochet pattern. This beautiful cowl is worked side to side with a 4-row repeat. For a women's size, you will need to complete the 4-row repeat until row 52. If you would like to make this in a men's size, you will need to complete the 4-row repeat until you finish row 56. And if by chance you would like to make this cowl without this beautiful faux fur, you can do that easily. All you have to do is complete the 4-row repeat until you finish row 40. The yarn that you will need for this cowl, for this pattern, you will need a super bulky 6-weight yarn. For the cowl, for the man and the women's size, for the men's and the women's size, with this faux fur, you will need a total of 243 yards of the super bulky 6-weight yarn. But if you would like to make this cowl without this faux fur, and you want to make it until row 40, then all you need is 162 yards of this super bulky 6-weight yarn. Our pattern will be a 4-row repeat. We will need to make a slip knot. For size woman and a man, we are both going to chain 25 chains. And it does help if you make these stitches loose. In the second chain from our hook, we will make 1 slip stitch. And I prefer to work into the back bump, so I will turn my work around and see the back of each chain. I will go into the back bump of that chain, and I am going to make 1 slip stitch. And I'm going to try to make this a little loose. And we will make 1 slip stitch into each of the back bumps of each chain. Slip stitches are sometimes a little difficult to work into. So for our slip stitches, I am going to try to make them a little bit looser than the rest of my stitches. For row 2, we will chain 2, and then we will turn our work. For row 2, we will be working into the back loops of each chain. So we will go into the loop that is furthest away from us. In that back loop, we will make 1 half double crochet. We will continue with 1 half double crochet into the back loop of each chain. For row 3, we will chain 1 and we will turn our work. In the back loop of each chain, we will make 1 slip stitch. So again, we will be working into the back loop, the loop furthest away from us. So I will go into that first chain there in that back loop and make 1 slip stitch. And I want to try to make mine a little looser, just slightly bigger than the rest of my stitches. And to help control the size of my slip stitches, after I go into this back loop and I yarn over and pull through and up, I pinch right here, right in between those 2 loops. I pinch and then I pull that through, and that prevents that stitch from shrinking. For row 4, we will chain 4 and turn. In the back loop of each chain, we will make 1 treble. So we will be doing the same thing, working into the back loop of each chain. We will be making one treble. So we will wrap the yarn around our hook twice, go into that back loop, and complete our treble. We will repeat this in each chain all the way across. This is row 5. For row 1, we made one slip stitch in each chain all the way across in each back bump. But for the first row of our 4-row repeat, we will be making just regular slip stitches. So we will go into the chain under the front and the back loop, and we will begin our slip stitches. So this is the first row of our 4-row repeat. We want to look in the back of our work for those stitches. We want to turn them to the back, and we want to find those 2 chains in the back of our work here. And we want to work into the back loop. So we will yarn over for our half double crochet. And sometimes these slip stitches, sometimes it's best to kind of pull it apart, pull that slip stitch away from that work. Pinch with this finger and thumb right under that chain. That way you don't have a hard time finding that back loop. So I just want to pull those slip stitches. I'm just kind of stretching it is all I'm doing. I'm going to pinch right under and then go into that back loop of that slip stitch. And that just helps. And you will repeat this all the way across. For row 3 of our 4-row repeat, we will chain 1 and we will turn our work. And for row 3 of our repeat, we will be making 1 slip stitch into each chain in the back loop only. So we will just tilt just like this, and we will find that back loop and create that slip stitch. And I'm going to try to make these a little loose just so they're easier to work into for the next row. And that is what we will be doing all the way across here. And remember, these slip stitches, when you make these slip stitches, they lay towards the front here, but after you chain and you turn, they will be towards the back of your work. So here's our chains right here. They technically lay towards the back. So we will wrap our yarn around our hook twice. We will go in to find that back loop there of that slip stitch and complete the treble. And remember, if you have a hard time getting into your stitches, just stretch those slip stitches up. That way you can get to that back loop very easily. So go ahead and finish up the rest of your cowl, and I will too, and I will meet you back for the next step. For a women's size, you will need to complete the 4-row repeat until row 52. If you would like to make this in a men's size, you will need to complete the 4-row repeat until you finish row 56. And if by chance you would like to make this cowl without this beautiful faux fur, you can do that easily. All you have to do is complete the 4-row repeat until you finish row 40. Now it is time to add our faux fur to our cowl. Before you cut your faux fur, I want you to measure the full length of your cowl. You will want to make a matching backside here for your cowl. So you will want to measure your cowl, measure your faux fur, make sure you have the exact same length. Now for your height here, what I'm about to show you is I measured my height of my cowl, which was 11 inches. But what I am going to do is I am going to cut 12 inches in height for the height of my cowl. And then after I sew all the way around, at the end, we will fold the top part, that inch that sticks up, we will fold it over, and then we will sew it across the top of our cowl. So we have this really nice edge here with this faux fur. So let's grab your scissors and your marker and your measuring tape, and let's get started. We will need to flip our faux fur back side up. I will use my fine tip scissors here, and what I will do, I will not go directly into the fur. That will destroy the fur, and fur will be everywhere, and we do not want that. And that is why I'm using these very fine tip scissors. I am just going to attempt to clip only this batting here, this backing. So I'm just going to make small clips here. And that will help to prevent running and cutting the fur. We definitely don't want to do that. And this takes a little time and patience, but it's definitely worth it. So as you see here, I'm not really cutting much fur. The fur is still intact here, which is good. So we are just making small little clips. And I will do this all the way across. And then once we are finished, we will use that sharp-tipped tapestry needle, and we will sew this onto the back of our cowl. Next step will be to brush off all the cut hair that is loose. We definitely don't want that all over our cowl. So I will just try to remove all the little cut pieces and throw them away. I will now sew my faux fur onto the back of my cowl. So this right here with our ribbing, this is the front of our cowl. This right here is the back. I am going to leave my yarn attached. So I chained one, and I'm just going to leave this here because once I am done sewing this, I will fold this and slip stitch across. So my plan here is I will sew the edge of the faux fur right here under that last row here. I have a threaded needle, and this is very sharp, just like a regular sewing needle, and that's very important for this. In order to get into this backing, you will need a sharp tip tapestry needle. And this is just regular all-purpose thread. So I have this laying over top of it. I do have the height here slightly larger than the 11 inches, but I wanted it that way. So what I will do here is I need the front of the fur facing out, and we are sewing it on the back. That way we can flip this over and wear it just fur out, or turn it inside out and wear the ribbing facing out. But the fur will stick out of the top, so when you wear the ribbing facing out, you will see the fur sticking out of it. And this will take some time to sew this, but it will be worth it. So I want to find the very bottom of that backing, and I want to line this up right under that last row. Sharp tipped tapestry needle, it goes right in. And I'm inserting right here inside the yarn of the row below. So I'm going through that and then through that further. And we will just repeat this all the way until the very top here. I'm just going to go into the fur and through this top part of the cow. And I'm just going to go in and out. We're almost finished sewing up our cowl. So the only part I have left to do is this part. So I have the part where the fur frays out. I have this right here. This is going to be the top. So if we was to turn this around, and you would wear this. Now, this is optional. If you follow the instructions like me, marked it on the 11-inch mark, but cut about an inch away from that chalk line, then you'll have about this much left. And my plan is, instead of, you could always just sew it like that. So when you wear this part around your neckline, you'll have the frayed fur here, or you can fold it over just a little bit, just like this. Now, just imagine wearing that. Isn't that gorgeous? Like, look at that. That fur just frays down like that. Beautiful, isn't it? Or you can have this as your inside and have the fur on the outside, so it's reversible. So what we will do now is we will fold this over, and we will begin to sew this down just about an inch over our top border here. And that is it. That's all we have to do next. After we sew this folded over, we do have one more step. We do need, after that, we do need to fold our cowl together and slip stitch each chain to each chain, going all the way down to seam it together. But right here, I can either just fold it over an inch, or I can roll it over even more. Now, if I roll it over even more, it will make the height of the cowl just a little bit smaller, but at the top here, it will have a little bit more bulk. That might be better for you. I don't know. So you can either do it 3 ways. You can just fold this to the edge, or fold an inch over, or roll it over quite a bit. And let's see, I'll unzoom. So if you roll it over quite a bit like this, that will make the height of your cowl shorter, and it will make it a little bit bulkier up here at the top, which is still very nice. For myself, for this tutorial, I am just going to fold it over just an inch. That way I can keep that nice height for this cowl. And right here, we do not want to sew into these slip stitch chains, or the chains that we will use to slip stitch into. So we have our chains open right here. So I definitely do not want to sew into that. I want to sew into those trebles right below that. So I will fold it down. I'm just going to lift the hair up out of the way. I'm going to go into that batting right there. I'm going to go into the treble. And pull the sewing thread through. And go back out to the batting. There might be a better sewing method for this. If you know that sewing method, I would definitely use that method. So I'm just going to go back into that batting. And through that cowl. I'm going to try not to twist in that tail there. I'm just going to go back through that batting and through the cowl. Try to pull the hairs out of the way. I'm going to try to make sure I'm not squeezing it too tight, like ruffling it up. I don't want to do that. And I'm just going to do that all the way across. After that, we'll fold our cowl together and we will slip stitch down each chain on each side of the cowl. So we are almost finished. All we have to do is slip stitch our cowl together. I chained one, and now what I'm going to do, I am going to find the front loop on the side facing closest to me. I will go into this front loop on this side, and then I'll go over here and I will go into the back loop on the opposite side. Yarn over, pull through both loops. Oops. And slip stitch. So this side, go into that front loop, and that side back loop, slip stitch. And I'm just going to repeat this all the way across. So this side will be the front loop facing me, closest to me. And on this side, I'm going into that back loop. And I'm just going to do this all the way across. And that's all you have to do. And it gives a nice little V-stitch ribbing here going all the way down. Thank you so much for watching my tutorial. I hope you really enjoyed it. I really hope that you enjoy this really beautiful cowl. And send me pictures if you'd like. My email is posted under my channel description. So if you would like to take pictures and send me photos, that would be so great. Thank you all so much. You have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.